Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Ryan Hensley. NFL kicks off tonight, first game, so we need to make our predictions, not just who's going to win the Super Bowl, but MVP, all that stuff. We're going to do that. We're going to tell you how Sunday's game between the Niners and Bears is going to unfold. We're going to make all kind of predictions, talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, whether it'll be on the team the whole year, talk about the captains, because it's not a big deal, but it's interesting. So I want to talk about the captains for a minute, but I want to start with the awards. So Ryan and I are going to predict who's going to win all the big ones and then who's going to win the Super Bowl. I let it slip last night who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. So if you know, don't say it. So, Ryan, let's start with MVP. Who do you think is going to be the MVP this year?
We're talking 49ers, right? Not the NFL?
The whole NFL. Sorry, I probably should have made that clear before we started the show.
Oh, together. Wow. The whole NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
That changes things. So this is going to be all off the cuff for you guys. But I would think I'm probably going to be real homer on these picks as well. I really think Deebo has a shot of being MVP. And I know his passing yards are going to go down a little bit, but I think his run game is going to be, they're going to use him a lot more in the run game than they did last year. So I think Deebo has a good shot at it. I know that's a homer pick. I was all on the 49er mentality, not really thinking of the NFL. But if I had to go somewhere outside, I would probably say Josh Allen has a really good potential for being MVP because usually it is a quarterback. And I think the Bills have a good chance of being in the Super Bowl this year as well. So I would go with Josh Allen. I think that guy's, he was obviously amazing last year, almost got to the big game. Maybe if the overtime rules were different last year, he would have, and I know they are this year. So, yeah, I really think Josh Allen has a ton of talent, usually a quarterback. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen for MVP.
Yeah, I'm going with Josh Allen too. It feels like a lot of people in the league and around the league consider him the best quarterback in the league or right up there. And he hasn't gotten that award yet. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes have gotten it. Feels like he's up next. Everyone's kind of picking him to go to the Super Bowl this year. And the Bills are really good. So if he's a 1 seed, if he puts up all-pro numbers, he might get it. Although Aaron Rodgers puts up amazing numbers every year. It's tough to be. Although no more Devontae Adams. I think that's going to have a big impact on his numbers. So that's why I'm picking Josh Allen. Offensive player of the year.
Offensive player of the year. Now, this I legit really do think it could be Deebo on this one. He's not going to get MVP, but if I had to bet right now, and again, I'm a Niner fan, so a lot of this stuff is coming from a Niner angle. But, I mean, the way Deebo is involved, when you're talking offense, you got to think Deebo. I mean, he runs, he catches, he does everything. And I think the 49ers have a good chance of going far this year. They're going to have a good record. Usually that comes into effect and has, it definitely weighs on the opinions of others. If you're in a good team, right, you're not going to be offensive player of the year if your team's trash. I really think Deebo has a shot at being offensive player of the year this year.
Okay, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I think Deebo is a hell of a player, but I don't think he had the offseason this year that he had last year. And losing Jimmy means he may not be as much of the focal point of the offense. They're still going to use him a lot, but I think there's going to be more of a committee in the backfield. I'm going with Jamar Chase. I think he was offensive rookie of the year last year, and so much of their offense goes through him. Deebo could, though. I just think Jamar Chase is one of the best wide receivers I've seen in a long time. I think he could take over the league like, Randy Moss did, T.O. did when I was a kid. Anyway.
Jamar Chase he's awesome. The only thing I worry about with Jamar Chase is he's on the Bengals. I'm not convinced the Bengals can go back to back like that. It's the Bengals, right? So are they going to really repeat what they did last year? And then he's going into a sophomore year. Sometimes these guys have sophomore slumps. So we'll see. I mean, Jamar Chase is a good pick though. So it's definitely possible.
Defensive player of the year.
I'm going to go with Nick Bosa. And I know, my whole mentality coming into this today, when you hit me up this morning, was 49ers. But I really think Nick Bosa, regardless, has the potential to be defensive player of the year. I think he is going to have a career year. And I know he did well last year, but I really think, this guy could be up in close to 20 sacks this year. I really believe that. And the 49ers defense is going to be elite. It's going to be one of the top defenses in the league. So when you're going for defensive player, usually people are going to look at the best defenses in the league. And I don't think it's a homer pick. I really believe Nick Bosa could be in the running for defensive player of the year.
Yeah, it feels like the defensive player of the year usually goes to the guy with the most sacks or the best, whoever's considered the best defensive lineman, the best pass rusher. And it seems like Bosa's already gotten that consensus. People think he's the best, but he hasn't gotten that award yet. He probably should have been comeback player of the year last year, although Joe Burrow exists as well. If he stays healthy this year, just like with Josh Allen, I think people are ready to give him a big time award. The only question is, will he stay healthy? He's never really done it 2 years in a row. But I think he will. I wouldn't bet on him having a catastrophic injury. So, yeah, I have Nick Bosa down here as the defensive player of the year as well. I think he's due. What about coach of the year?
Oh, coach of the year. That's a tough one. I'm going to let you lead on this one while I think about it.
Okay. I think I'm going to surprise some people with this one, but I think it's going to be Kyle Shanahan. I think for whatever reason, like the perception around this team is that Kyle doesn't know what he's doing. And he's this like national people that don't watch the team very much don't understand Kyle moving on from Jimmy to Trey. They think it's a really risky move. It's obviously the right move. It's going to work out, I think. And everyone's going to be like, wow, he's a genius. How did we not see this? It's like, well, you don't really watch the Niners. So I think, he's really lowering the bar. He's letting people lower their expectations for this team. And then when they're, the same Niners as last year, winning most of their games without throwing very much, people are going to be like, wow, Kyle's a freaking genius. He did it again. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I think if you were paying attention, you could probably see that. I mean, Trey Lance, when Lance was on the field last year, the Niners offense averaged 6.4 yards per play. That would have led the league by far. No, the top team in the league with 6.1. It's the evidence is there. People don't want to see it. This offense is going to be really explosive, even if they run the ball most of the time. And people are just going to be so surprised when the Niners have a winning record with this kid who hasn't played much, all that. And Kyle's going to get a ton of credit for having him ready and all this stuff. That's what I think.
Yeah, I can see it definitely being Kyle Shanahan. I mean,
that's another guy people want to give flowers to. I mean, it's been a while. Everyone calls him the best coach in the league, but he has a losing record. This is going to be his year where they're like, okay, he's matured.
Yeah, I think I can see it happening. I think the counter argument to that would be his team is so good. I think you may hear people coming back at that because the team, the roster is so good that he doesn't really have to do much. But I think that's incorrect. And I think part of the reason, the argument for Kyle Shanahan being coach of the year, the fact that he did go to Trey Lance, and if Trey Lance ends up being the guy that I think he will be and have the year that I think he can have this year, then that does speak highly on Coach Kyle Shanahan. And if they do have the rushing game that we think they're going to have, and they lead the league in rushing, that also works in Kyle Shanahan's favor. Typically for me, a coach of the year is somebody that takes a team that wasn't expected to do well, and then they do really well. So I don't know what team that's going to be. So it's hard to predict. But with the 49ers, everyone kind of thinks they're going to do well. So I can see the argument.
I feel like there's two sides of that. There's a lot of people that are like, I don't know, Lance is going to get benched by week 7, and then they're going to do, you know what I mean? There's a lot of that too.
Yeah, that's true. And so he could upset them. I think it was ESPN that had them ranked 3rd in the NFL, but then Bleacher Report has them ranked 15th. Okay. So the rankings are all over the place. But again, if Trey Lance ends up doing really well, Kyle Shanahan is going to get the credit for 1, picking Trey Lance. For 2, they'll say he benefited from sitting last year while Jimmy showed him how to play quarterback, right? And then he'll get the benefit of starting Trey Lance this year. So I think Kyle getting coach of the year is going to depend highly on what happens with Trey Lance. But I think it's definitely possible.
You know who's not going to get it this year, I don't think? Bill Belichick. What they're doing over there with their offensive staff, Matt Patricia, I think Mac Jones is going to have a sophomore slump. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I could.
Okay, Super Bowl winner. Who's going to be in the game? Who's going to win it?
I'm going to go with the Bills and Niners are in the Super Bowl. That's my prediction. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Damn it, I've been scared. I've had cold feet. But after watching your bravery last night, I'm just going to say the damn Niners are going to win the thing, man. I believe it. I mean, there's really no reason for me not to think that the 49ers can win it. I think the only thing that, if we look at how, the Bengals did last year with a bad offensive line, and you look at how the Chiefs did against the Patriots with a bad offensive line. Yeah. If the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl, it's because the line doesn't go meet the expectations that we think they will. and or Trey Lance is not who we think he is, and or they end up having to put Jimmy in because of an injury or something, and Jimmy has not proven that he can win a big game or be a top-notch quarterback in the playoffs. So I'm going to go ahead and say the 49ers, but I also just gave you a couple reasons why it may not happen.
Yeah, I'm going Niners over Bills. But I'm not I'm not like super confident. I mean, there's a few things about the Niners that give me pause. First of all is the offensive line. But the way I look at the offensive line, like the pass protection is an issue, but it was an issue last year. They had Tom Compton on the line. Tom Compton was not a good pass protector, but what the Niners have shown is that, or at least Kyle's shown, is he can get guys who run block for his scheme well. So if the Niners can run the ball well, they should be good. Really, it seems like beating the Niners, you have to have a really good run defense. And how many teams have that anymore? Contenders, not that many, in my opinion. Some, but even if you have a great run defense, that's not enough anymore because Trey will actually throw down the field, unlike the previous quarterback. So, yeah. And the Niners have like the best defense in the league. Everyone was so concerned about the offense in training camp when really the story was, oh my God, this defense is better than maybe any defense in the league. And I keep seeing people pick like Philly or Minnesota to go to the Super Bowl. Like the Niners are better than Philly. And everyone's picking Philly. The Niners are definitely better than Philly. They have a better defense than Philly and a better quarterback and better running backs. Although Miles Sanders is good for 11 carries a game. And then Minnesota, like we see what happens when the Niners play Minnesota. They shut down Dalvin Cook. They pressured Kirk Cousins. The game's over every time. I don't know. I mean, just feels like really my only question, more than the offensive line with this team, is the locker room. Do they have Trey's back? Because I don't even know if they have it yet, or if he has it fully. If he has a little bit of adversity to start the season, do they bail? I'm talking captains, George Kittle, Eric Armstead, vets that are like they consider Jimmy Garoppolo a brother to them, a friend. Do they have Trey's back the way they have Jimmy's back? Because if the leadership council pulls the plug on Trey after a month, then this team's not going to win the Super Bowl. So they need to give Trey a chance because, and I don't think he's going to struggle early on, frankly, but I don't think he will. But if that happens, how is his team going to respond?
Yeah, and that's a big concern for me. Obviously, I talked to my friend who talked to me about the 49ers. He works for the organization. So, talking about his comments saying that the 49ers were hesitant, it doesn't mean that the franchise as a whole is hesitant about Trey Lance. It's more about the guys you're talking about.
Yeah.
The guys that have been battling with Jimmy for the last 5 years, who has seen what Jimmy can do. He can take them, far in the postseason. They haven't been able to win one, but that's their friend.
Plus, they have personal relationships with Jimmy.
Right. So
yeah.
You got your good friend over here who's brought you to the Super Bowl, brought you to the NFC Championship, or brought you, right, to the NFC Championship. From their perspective, that's their good friend that they've been battling with, and now they got this new rookie, 22-year-old stepping in. That's where my friend who told me what he told me, that's where that came from, is those guys. And so that's a big concern that you bring up, the locker room. That's a big concern. Another concern for me, Grant, is although I think the defense is amazing, probably the best in the league. I really think so. And I also think the run game has the potential to be the best in the league. It seems that every year at some point in the postseason, you need a quarterback to just be the guy at some point, maybe in the fourth quarter. And I don't know if Trey Lance is or not. We know Jimmy's not. I mean, obviously from the past, we know he's not, but it's Trey. That's the question.
Let me just counter real quick.
Okay.
When the Seahawks won the Super Bowl in 2013, 14, whatever, Russell Wilson was never the guy. Like, he was really good, but it was never about him. I mean, he was part of it. It was the defense. It was Marshawn. It was him. And I feel like if Trey, I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to be a guy who drops back 40 times this year. But if he gives you a few big plays, if he can be like a young Russell Wilson, which is that's a high bar. He was always excellent, but he wasn't the guy. The way I think of like Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow being the guy, where like they're going to drop back 50 times, take a bunch of sacks. It's all about them. Like, it doesn't have to be that with Lance. He just has to be a playmaker when called upon. Yeah.
What I mean is being the guy is probably not that. What I don't mean he has to pass a ton of games, but what I mean is when it
Yeah.
when the moment
Yeah.
arrives, is he clutch?
Don't overthrow Emmanuel Sanders by 10 yards.
Right.
Don't
That's
overthrow Michael Crabtree 3 times in a row in the same route.
right.
Don't throw the ball to Richard Sherman. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
you. I got you.
exactly. Is he
Yeah.
clutch in the
Yeah.
moment, in the postseason?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm crazy, but I think he is. I think he's going to be.
Well,
But
it's
that's
hard
going
to
to be
know how a 22-year-old first-year starter is going to react if and when he gets to the playoffs. It's like Lamar Jackson didn't do so great his first time in the playoffs. So I guess that's probably why a lot of people aren't picking the Niners to win the Super Bowl.
yeah,
But it's like, okay, you're going to pick Philly? You're going to pick, or just to represent the NFC, you're going to pick who? Like, what is the team? The Rams? The Niners always play the Rams well. The only time the Niners lost to the Rams, it was by like 3 points, and they had the lead. So
yeah.
the Bucks aren't as good as they used to be. I don't know. I think it's pretty clear. Also the schedule too. The schedule's rough. Not having Jimmy Ward, not great, but really you have really good corners. So it's just who's going to cover the tight ends. As long as you have Jimmy Ward when you play Travis Kelce and Darren Waller, you'd be all right. I mean,
Yeah.
who's the tight end that's going to beat you? Cole Kmet? No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cole.
One thing I watched Peyton Manning the other day. I think it was on Colin Cowherd or something, and he was talking about Eli,
Mhm.
and Eli said that the 6 games that he actually got to play um, were 10 times more valuable than the 10 when he sat behind Kurt Warner. And so I think something that's going to work in Trey's favor, and I hope fans understand, is that Trey Lance is going to be a different quarterback by the end of this season than he is in the beginning. And maybe he'll come out firing on all cylinders. But I really think as the season goes on, by the end of the year, when it's most important, the postseason and the playoffs, and hopefully the Super Bowl, Trey Lance will have learned a ton, and he'll be a different quarterback than we see on Sunday versus the Bears.
Before we wrap it up, I watched that with Peyton Manning too. It's so funny how people just talk about their own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton said, it was really good for him to play. He needed to go 3-13 so he could go 13-3 the next year. Fine, that worked for him. I was thinking, what about Tom Brady? If Tom Brady were sitting there, he'd be like, I didn't play my first year, and that was probably good because the next year I won the Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
as a first-year starter. So it's like anyone can validate their own experiences. Like it worked for Brady. I don't know if you remember, but he sat his first year and then he came in and he only threw for like 2,800 yards, but he won 11-3, won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So maybe
Well,
Lance could do that.
yeah. One thing I'm really realizing over the last couple of years is it doesn't matter what school you went to. It doesn't matter whether you sit or start. What really matters is just, are you that guy? Like,
Yeah.
are you him? It doesn't matter if you're the first round draft pick or the 6th, like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's your talent. It's who you are. If you're
Yeah.
the guy, you're the guy, regardless of what situation or how you get there.
Right. I mean, we're learning that with a guy like Sam Darnold, right? A million excuses. Why don't you put him on a new team? Nope, still sucks. Hey, guess what? He still sucks. Maybe it's because he sucks.
Right. Right. I mean, people are talking about, Lance comes from a small school. You can look, I look, there's over 51 players from small schools that you never heard of that are in the Hall of Fame. Then you guys got like Jamarcus Russell goes to LSU and is a complete bust. It doesn't matter what school you went to. It matters who you are. Are you talented? Is this you?
And people talk about his reps. Oh, he hasn't played that much. Like, okay, well, talent's talent. If he has it, he has it. Like it's imagine like scouting a 19-year-old Muhammad Ali, and he has all this talent, and you're like, yeah, but he hasn't boxed that much. He's not going to be good. Like, you can give him experience. Like that's the one thing. Right. He has all this stuff you can't teach. Like that's Trey. Why would you? So you want someone? Okay, Brock Purdy. I like Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. Has the experience, the mechanics, not the talent. He could do everything right and still never be better than a backup quarterback. Trey Lance doing a lot of things wrong could be one of the better starting quarterbacks in the league right now. Yeah. And I think he will be. So it's just, that's the way it is.
And I was taking, doing my thing on Twitter yesterday. A lot of guys, going at Trey Lance because he went to North Dakota State. So think about this. Steph Curry, right, went to Davidson. Very small D1 school. So based on their argument, Warriors should not have drafted Steph Curry because he went to a small school. It's just stupid. It's like you're either great or you're not,
Yeah. And again, I don't feel like I'm projecting. if the Niners offense sucked with Trey Lance last year, the run game wasn't good, I'd be like, I don't see it. But no, 6.4 yards per play, 5 yards per carry. Meanwhile, it was 4.2 with Jimmy. It's all there. Frankly, they would have won the Super Bowl last year if Trey Lance had just kept playing after the Houston game. Jimmy was hurt. The run game was DOA in the playoffs. It wouldn't have been. There would have been no scouting. People wouldn't have known how to defend the Niners run game. They would have won. They would have won last year. They're going to win this year as long as they don't cannibalize themselves in the locker room. Pretty much. That's the way I look at it.
And you brought up, I think it was on Twitter the other day, about how, and on your show, if you compare the rushing numbers with Trey Lance versus when Jimmy Garoppolo was in, it was like 0.8 more.
Yes.
Right. And I did the math. That means the running backs would have ran for 425 yards more per season. That is humongous. And then not only that, Trey Lance is a runner himself. So that's probably like close to 1,000 yards more rushing with Trey Lance in as a quarterback. And
that's what I'm saying. They're going to run for 3,000 yards, set a franchise record, now 17 games. But still, they're going to set a franchise record, have one of the best defenses in franchise history, and a playmaker at quarterback who makes some mistakes, but isn't in a position where he has to do, risky things. He's going to have a defense and a run game. He has a quarterback's two best friends. He has them. Not to mention playmakers everywhere and a really sophisticated game plan every week. Mm-hmm. It seems like, I don't know, how can you miss? But maybe it's Jim Druckenmiller. I don't know. David DeFore says, Ryan, I've enjoyed your thoughtful perspective. I haven't. Be less thoughtful. What are you doing? Matthew says, keep an eye on the head coach in Minnesota if they dethrone Green Bay. Keep an eye on him?
I think for Coach of the Year.
Oh, I feel you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that too. I can see that too. I actually think he's going to do a really good job, and that team's going to win the division.
Or if the Lions end up being decent, he already has the love from the
people like that guy.
Yeah, he's like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, kind of. All right, let's talk about this captain thing for a minute. Not that it's a huge deal, but it's interesting. Last year they had 7 captains. This year, Kyle Shanahan chose to have only 6. The 7th, according to Kyle, would have been Trey. And what I mean is the players vote for this. So he got the 7th most votes, more than Deebo Samuel, the all-pro wide receiver on this team. So actually, Trey was voted a captain on this team by his teammates had they kept the same amount of captains as last year. Kyle chose not to. Why do you think Kyle decided to not make Trey Lance a captain? This was his decision. It's important to him, clearly.
It doesn't seem like such a Kyle Shanahan thing to do. It doesn't bother me. I think a lot of people are bothered that he's not the captain, but a little bit it does. I was kind of expecting him to be a captain, to be honest, because he's a quarterback, and it would have been nice for Kyle to just kind of give him that vote of confidence and give him that leadership. But, maybe his thing is I want him to earn it. And, he hasn't started a season, hasn't played a full season. So in that regard, I kind of get it. And maybe it was a Deebo thing. Maybe it was like, how am I going to make Trey Lance the captain and not Deebo? So that could have been part of it also. I'm not really sure. It doesn't bother me a ton. It seems very Shanahan-ish in his move. But maybe it's a motivation factor for Trey Lance. And maybe he's also showing the veterans on this team, hey, I'm going to make Trey earn it. Don't worry, right?
It's tough to give Trey – to make him a captain over an all-pro wide receiver who's been in a Super Bowl, won playoff games for you, been the driving force on your team, to turn around and give it to someone who started 2 games.
Yeah.
And again, remember, there could be an element in the locker room that's skeptical of this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And you've already handed him a starting job in their eyes. He didn't beat out Jimmy. You're just projecting that he's better than Jimmy. All right, well, we'll see. Now you're going to hand him a captain job, a seat as well. That could really turn off some people. So from Kyle's perspective, he's trying to help Trey win over everyone. Yeah. And I don't know that making him a captain in his first year as a starter does that. Mm-hmm. It might polarize people. The people that like Trey are happy. The people that are skeptical are upset. And you're trying to bring everyone together here around Trey. So I get it. I actually like the move. I don't think you need to hand Trey too much. Let him earn that. And he even said it was my goal to earn it. And I think he did everything as a leader to do that. But now you have to prove it on the field too. And I think he will.
Another perspective, Grant, is, I've coached basketball for a long time. Probably half the times I was coaching my son. Mm-hmm. And when you, this is kind of, Trey Lance is kind of Kyle Shanahan's kid. And when your kid is on the team, you're way harder on him than you are everybody else, because you want the rest of the team to know that there's going to be no favoritism here. Right. So that's another perspective. And it's along the same lines of what you were just saying as well.
Good call. Corey Long says, glad you mentioned this. I'm certain Kyle capped it at 6 to make sure Trey earns it. He doesn't anoint anyone. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he kind of anointed Trey this year, and that's fine. I think they should have anointed him last year, but I feel like he's sensitive to that and trying his hardest to make it seem like he's not doing that, which is smart. I'm with you, Corey. Rod says Trey Lance 0 interceptions in that 1 year at North Dakota State. Wentz scout rep equal something Trey Lance. I'm with you, Rod. Yeah, I mean, he won. He's a champion. He's a champion. Trey Lance is a champion. Kyle Shanahan, never been a champion. Jimmy Garoppolo has 2 rings, though. 2 as backup. So
yeah, I mean, that speaks well for the 49ers this year, right? When Jimmy's a backup.
Oh, good things happen.
He's a lead backup.
Okay, so it was interesting that Kyle Shanahan decided not to make Trey Lance a captain, even though technically his teammates voted him in. Well, you never really know. We didn't see the tally. But according to Kyle, teammates voted Trey a captain. Kyle decided to cap it at 6. Deebo Samuel's a different story, though. Deebo Samuel was the 8th guy in the voting, which means his teammates, some of them voted him to be a captain, but not enough. He was like Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame voting. Just not quite, maybe next year. Yeah. Why do you think? And it was crazy. Kyle Shanahan listed him as a captain. He was like, oh, wait, no. I think Kyle would have voted for him. Kyle loves Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
But the teammates didn't. Not enough. Why do you think?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, you request a trade off the team. I mean, I'm sure that rubs some guys wrong. Like, wait a minute, you don't want to play with us no more? Like, yeah, I mean, there's some guys probably don't care, and that's probably why I got 8th place votes. Yeah. But there's some guys on that team, whether, I'm sure it's unanimous voting, and they're like, I'm not voting for this guy. He didn't even want to be on the team last year. He wasn't out here grinding, with the guys in the offseason. So, you want captains that are going to be not just great players, but great leaders on the team. And I think it's no question that that's why he got 8th place in the captain voting.
I thought he was going to be a captain. I thought the 2 new guys this year would be Bosa and Deebo, and they gave it to Bosa and not Deebo. And it's crazy because Bosa doesn't show up to mini camps and OTAs. He's like, no, you guys aren't even wearing pads. I'm a D lineman. I'm going to stay in South Florida with my dad and my brother and do my thing. And everyone's like, yeah, that's good. You know what you're doing. I mean, everyone has complete trust in Nick. When you ask Kyle and any player, like, who's the most professional player you've ever seen? Nick Bosa. He's like 23. Who's the most? Nick Bosa. He's been a pro since he's 3 years old. He's in the greatest shape of anyone I've ever seen. Like, there's no question. No one ever says that about Deebo, ever.
Yeah.
They never talk about his conditioning or his professionalism or his maturity. They talk about his athleticism and his explosion and all that stuff, but they don't talk about that with him. And there's questions about that. And he requested a trade. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine being on a team, someone being like, I don't want to be on the team with you. Actually, I'm back and I want to be the captain. Like, no, what are you talking about? I want to be here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to me, that's why you shouldn't have done it, Deebo. Mm-hmm. People don't forget your teammates, the coaches, the fans. They don't forget, man. What they say, you can't unring that bell. Sorry, man. You did it. So now you're not a captain. I don't know if he cares. Maybe he doesn't care. And maybe that's another reason he's not a captain. I don't know.
Yeah, no, leadership is key. I mean, it's not just how good you are as a player. You got to be a leader. You got to be a great leader. And, Nick Bosa, even though he doesn't, do things in OTAs, everyone knows. I mean, the way he shows up, when he does show up, you look at him like, damn, this guy's in better shape than he was last year. And it's like every year it's like that. With Deebo, he shows up and long t-shirt, time to get in shape now, right? So
the long sleeve shirt thing kills me, man. It's like you came out in the same draft class as AJ Brown and DK Metcalf, and you're legitimately as good or better than both of them. But look at them, man. And look at you. Really? Come on. Like, we're talking 5 pounds. The last 5. Go for it. I don't know. Like,
I'm hoping this next season, now he's locked in. He's got his contract. I'm hoping that,
be your best self, Deebo. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you were your best self like DK and AJ Brown, they wouldn't be in your league. You would be in a whole different tier. But we don't know which Deebo was going to happen. I mean, anyway. That's enough Deebo. I'm blocked by Deebo on Twitter, so I shouldn't talk so much about it. Callie says Deebo has to earn captain as well. He got his contract. Now go out and continue to perform, possibly his attitude from the offseason. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's an interesting parallel between him and Bosa. Like, Bosa doesn't show up to the offseason either. He doesn't talk. He's not what you would call a leader, but everyone looks at him in awe of his professionalism. No questions. I don't think people looked at Deebo that way. I mean, they all acknowledge that he's the best weapon on the team, but that's different.
Yeah. Yeah. The physical and the talent is only part of it. The mental is, is at least a third of everything,
Yeah, I mean, players go up to Nick Bosa and ask him about nutrition and I don't think, do you think they go to Deebo and like, hey, so what are you eating in the offseason? What are you eating? I would like to be, sorry, that's enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think the 49ers will trade Jimmy Garoppolo mid-season? I mean, Kyle Shanahan left the door open when asked a couple of days ago, and Jimmy's contract got cut big time. So if someone was interested before, they'd be more interested now. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think it's possible. It depends on what they're offering. If they give him, like a second rounder or something, then yeah, maybe they'd consider it. But it's going to take a lot for them to move on Jimmy Garoppolo. And now that they have Jimmy, I think they're really sold on the idea of having a really legit backup behind Trey Lance in case something happens. So I think they're all in on Jimmy as QB2. And to be honest, I can kind of see Jimmy being a backup for years to come on this team. I don't think they're in a hurry to get rid of him at this price point. Having Jimmy Garoppolo, for $6.5 million as your backup quarterback, that makes you a really strong team in case something happens to Trey Lance. So it's going to take a lot for them to move Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for them to move him, it depends on a team getting really desperate and trading the Niners like a second or third round pick, because that's like an offer they can't refuse. But I'm not sure that's going to happen, because even if a quarterback does get hurt, who's going to trade a second or third round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo? 1 year of Jimmy, or the Jimmy, and you give him an extension. I think it's pretty clear the league isn't looking at him like that right now. He's no one's savior. He's a backup right now, and he may become a starter down the line, or maybe not. So if they do get a trade, it's probably going to be like a lower pick. And then how is that helping you? Is getting a 5th round pick next year better than having a good backup who can win if Trey gets hurt for a month? Because it's like, which quarterback is at biggest risk of getting hurt? Maybe Lance. He's got no pass protection, and he's a focal part of the running game. So if anyone needs a good backup, it's the 49ers. I don't really see them trading Jimmy Garoppolo. And to your point, if he stays on the bench all year, not sure that any team signs him as a starter next year either. And if he has to sign as a backup, once again, it looks like his best place to be a backup is here, because at least when he gets on the field, he'll look good. Kyle put him in good positions to succeed, and he'll win most of the time. So
yeah. And all his friends are here. I honestly think we're going to see a Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo 1 and 2 for years to come. That if I had to bet, that's what I would put my money on.
Wow, that'll be very interesting. Some players on the team are going to have to wrap their heads around that one. I'm not sure they're there yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Niners play on Sunday. We don't know if George Kittle's going to play. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm guessing he will, but I don't know. Do you think it matters? Do you think they'll win? How do you think this game unfolds?
So my prediction for Sunday's game is 23-13, kind of a low-scoring event, not a lot of touchdowns, a lot of field goals. It's going to be heavy on the run game, heavy on the defense. I don't think you're going to see a ton of passing, a lot of touchdowns. So I think the Niners are going to, scrape through. It's going to be raining. It's on Soldier Field. I don't think they're going to have a high-powered offense this weekend, and if George Kittle's not there, even more so. So I think it's going to be a running game battle, a defensive battle. There may be some turnovers. Hopefully not a ton from Trey Lance. But, it's Soldier Field. It's week 1. I expect a lot of penalties. I think it's going to be messy, but I think the Niners are going to squeeze it out. And 23-13 Niners, that's my prediction for this Sunday.
That sounds about right. I feel like the rain coupled with Kittle's injury could make this a pretty vanilla game plan. A lot of times coaches try to do too much week 1 because they have 2 weeks to prepare for it, and they put all kind of crap in there that the team isn't good at. But I feel like this isn't the week to do that. It's raining. It's the Bears. You have a great defense. They're not going to score much. Why would you show much on offense? Kittle's not there. I think you're going to see, I don't know, 23 points sounds about right. a fairly modest offensive output, but like a safety first game. It's raining. The ball is slippery. Let's not fumble. Let's not throw picks. Deebo drops the ball a lot anyway. Like, let's keep this safety first. A safety first day.
Yeah,
Just
safety first
game. Safety first. I mean, why do anything more?
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah, I think the Bears might get 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. That's why I have them at 13. But I don't
Dante
think
Pettis is going for at least 150 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. No. I think and I think the touchdown is going to come off the Justin Fields run. I think that's probably how they'll get it done if they do get a touchdown. This defense of the 49ers is elite, and defense travels. One concern I have is the special teams. Brand new coach, new returner, Ray fumble issues. And based on the preseason, I wasn't really overly impressed with anything with the special teams in the preseason. Right. So I think special teams may be crucial for this game as well. Hopefully the 49ers come out prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to watch this running game. I want to see it because last year, like, Mostert went down instantly. Trey Sermon was nowhere. And they had Elijah Mitchell and Deebo, and that was it. And they couldn't really run the ball as much or as well as they wanted to. And now they have Jeff Wilson's back. Mitchell's healthy. Jordan Mason might be better than both of them. Deebo's here. Trey Lance is going to run. I have 5 guys. They have 5 guys who are legitimate threats. I mean, I don't even know if Jordan Mason's going to be active on game days, but 4 guys every game that are going to be legitimate threats. And you figure like 12 carries for Mitchell, 10 for Wilson, 8 for Lance, 4 for Deebo, 2 for Ray. Like, it's going to be amazing. I think, as long as the offensive line isn't trash. Yeah. And I have no idea what to expect from Jake Brendel and Aaron Banks and Spencer Burford. So we'll see. But usually Kyle knows how to scout the run blockers at least. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on that. He knows what it takes to block in his run game. He seems to show confidence in these 3 interior offensive line guys. So I want to see just 200 rushing yards. That's what I expect. 200 rushing yards in this game.
Yeah, I think the only concern, I mean, with the rushing game, Kyle's got, he's great at dialing up amazing, running plays. The running backs are great. You got Deebo, you got the addition of Trey Lance. The only concern with the running game, like you said, is the offensive line. You can't run to the left side behind Trent Williams the whole game. But like you said, I think there's going to be a lot of, inside zone running, guards pulling, that will help with that. And, maybe Juice guy has a big game this weekend. I think he's really a solid option in the rain, even on the short passes for Trey Lance, especially if George Kittle is not there. I could see Juice having a decent game this week as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking even if Kittle were healthy, the game plan wouldn't feature him that much anyway. I'm thinking we're going to see, especially in the rain, I don't think you're going to see as much running to the perimeter trying to get that one cut. I think it's going to be more straight ahead, between the tackles. And so his blocking on the perimeter isn't as important. It's going to be more about Banks, Burford, Brendel, those guys.
I just hope that Kyle Shanahan doesn't overthink it. Everyone thinks we're going to run. Let's start off in shotgun, 3 wide receivers, right? That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen, but I don't think he will.
The Niners are built to dictate with their run game. We want to run. We want to run. You can't stop it. Right. It's 11-on-11 football. You're outmanned. And once you figure out some ways to slow us down, then play action, you're dead. We're going to hit you for big plays. We're going to take 2 or 3, 4 shots a game, and Trey's going to hit 1 or 2 of them, and they're going to be touchdowns, and you're going to lose. I'm telling you, this is going to feel a lot like the Seahawks from 10 years ago. Russell Wilson, it was like, man, he's handing off. Wait for it. Here comes, there's the bomb. There it is. He didn't even do anything today. It's the 4th quarter, and boom, he won the game. That's what's going to happen with this team.
2 questions for you. Who's the next guy up for tight ends? Is it Dwelly?
I don't even think they have one. I think it's like platoon. All of a sudden, you got to get the guy on first down who's the blocker. If you want the best, if you're running, you probably put Charlie Warner out there, although that might tip that you're running. Dwelly would be more the receiver. I don't know how they want to do it. I mean, Dwelly's not moving people as a blocker. Warner could. Warner's not beating man-to-man coverage. Dwelly can. So I don't know.
2 more questions, actually. So TDP is over Mason. When do you think we're going to see, this is one question I get, when do you think we'll see TDP? And is it going to take an injury to get Mason out there? When will we see Mason?
I think TDP, his role initially will be the short yardage back. Although I don't see how you don't make that Jeff Wilson Jr. He runs so freaking hard, but TDP's bigger. I think they want him to be that. And if he fails, then I think Jordan Mason will get a shot. And I think Jordan Mason will be great as a short yardage back. And I think he could build a role from there. But, the thing with Mitchell and Wilson, as good as they are, they both get hurt an awful lot. So I just feel like it's a matter of time before TDP and Mason get their opportunities. And I feel like one of them's going to do better with that opportunity. One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of expecting, unfortunately, Elijah Mitchell might have a sophomore slump, and maybe not due to his fault, but I just don't think they're going to use him as much as they did in previous years. And I think Mason is intriguing, man. I really think for a lot of teams, he could be a every down back. So we'll see.
Well, it's clear that Niners on offense want to wear you down with physicality. It's their new identity. It's the Deebo Kittle influence. And if Deebo is going to be if your wide receiver can run that hard, everyone has to run that hard. And that's what they want to do. I think Kyle understands the reason he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring right now is he couldn't close it out in the fourth quarter. And you close it out with a physical run game that wears people down. And so I think Mason is the most physical running back on the team. I mean, Jeff Wilson runs hard too. So he's bigger than these guys. He's 10 pounds bigger than Jeff Wilson Jr. And I think he's going to be exactly what they're looking for at running back. I can't wait. Mitchell's really good too. It's not like if they're playing Mitchell and Wilson and not Mason, they're going to lose. I'm not saying that. I mean, I think all these guys are going to average more than 5 yards a carry, except for Tyvis Price. Maybe.
That's huge. They can do that. That's going to be big.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that's all I got. Timothy says, if 19 slumps and 11 balls, is 19 in danger of trade? I don't think so, man. This is a team that's going to run. They need Deebo in the backfield. I don't think so. They just gave him the biggest extension of 49ers players ever had. Just because they didn't give him a captain doesn't mean they don't like him. I think Kyle likes him. Anyway, he's going to be here. He's going to get the ball a lot.
At some point, if Ayuk balls out, at some point they may have to decide between the two of them. But, Deebo is Deebo. They're going to go with him, I would imagine. So.
I just don't think they pass the ball enough to spend all this money on 2 wide receivers. Like, you want to run the ball. You want to lead. Look at what Tennessee did. They want to run the ball. They traded A.J. Brown. The Niners have Deebo, but he's part of their running game. The Niners have Kittle, but he blocks. You really going to pay? Because wide receivers are really expensive. What if Ayuk balls out this year and is, in the range of getting 20, 24, 20-something? Like, really? You throw the ball 23 times a game. You sure? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. Trey Lance about to prove all the haters wrong with popcorn, says 49ers daddy. Wow. Robbie Gould will kick the game winner. Bryant Culp. Oh, you think it's going to come down to that? Damn, man. If it comes down to a field goal, that's going to be fun. Whew. Week 1.
Yeah, right, I see 3 field goals I see 3 field goals for Robbie Gould this week, and so I think he's going to have a big Sunday.
Yeah, I want to look up one thing real quick before we go. So Trey Lance's start last year against Arizona. Everyone talks like he was awful. They only scored 10 points, but I think they outgained Arizona in that game. I just want to check it out real quick hold on. Okay, here we go. Total net
never going to use Trey Lance.
Yeah. Okay, so the Niners averaged 5.7 yards per play against Arizona in that game. That's really good. They scored 10 points, but I think they went for it on 4th down 5 times and converted none of them. It was a very strange game. But they actually moved the ball very well against an undefeated team on the road in Trey Lance's first career start. A lot of people are like, what if the Niners just blow it against Chicago? When have we ever seen that? And there's never been a time when the Niners offense just sucked with Trey Lance on the field. This is not CJ Beathard. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And see, even with CJ, Kyle Shanahan beat, what was it? The freaking Cardinals 2 years ago. So,
yeah.
It's not going to be bad.
I think the defense is too good.
Yeah.
To let the Bears win. Even if the offense is struggling, I think the defense is not going to let the Bears score a lot of points. So, if you score 14, 17 points, you'll probably win in this game, in my opinion. I think they'll have 1 touchdown and, 2 field goals. That's all the Bears will get. So I think that this is pretty much put in the bag.
I remember last time they played in Chicago, I was there last year. Elijah Mitchell had like 3 or 4 really long runs around the left. He's like, there was that run where he got hit at the 4-yard line and moved the entire pile into they couldn't stop Elijah Mitchell. End of story. They lost. And they couldn't stop Deebo on that long thing. But it's like, now you got Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jordan Mason, Trey Lance. It's like, good luck, Chicago. I don't think you got it, man. I don't think you're built for this.
I remember on that play, Trent Williams was pushing the whole pile, and then behind him was Jimmy Garoppolo pushing Trent Williams. I thought that was. I was watching that the other day. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, Jimmy was the real MVP on that play.
That's
all right, everyone. The Niners have practice in a few hours. I'll be there. Flying out to Chicago tonight, red eye. So next time I see you, I'll probably be in Chicago dancing to house music. That's how I do.
Nice.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks, Ryan. Good show.
Yeah.
Peace.